This is the Hustler's Corner.
Man. I used to go to serious meetings, bumping Jay-Z, man, getting goosebumps.
It does a lot to you.
1, 2, 3 million. I'm like pumped up. I'm
When you get to the meeting?
I'm getting to a meeting.
When you get to the meeting?
Doing? I'm pumped
sure,
up,
because you're like,
bro.
I'm Jigger.
Bro,
You don't know me.
Do you know what I mean?
You don't
bro?
know me.
Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to, I don't want to call it the Hustler's Corner, but it's a platform that lies on the Hustler's Corner. We decided to do this again with God Penuel. He's back. You guys said he must come back, so he's come back. So I think the first thing I'd like to say is, you guys go on the comment section and tell us, why did you ask him back? And because he is back now, what must he talk about? Because we've already done his interview. So I got him back because you guys I listen to you. Whatever you guys want, I listen to and I do chair. So today we just decided they want us back together again. Let's go sit down and have a chat. How you doing, bro?
Spood, I'm good. Thank you so much for inviting me back. I'm excited that people wanted to hear more. They were watching two great minds going at it. So I'm pretty excited. I'm excited about today and what we want to be uncovering.
It's beautiful. I thought, because we don't have a format for today, let's listen to what they want.
Sure.
And I always listen to the audience.
Sure.
You know, whether they criticize, whatever they say, it's okay.
Sure.
And then I take that feedback, analyze it, and like, okay, cool, what do I do with this?
Sure.
I'm not one of those people that completely ignores people, you know, and this
Sure.
is how I do it.
Sure.
I listen to what they want. So for me, I've had a lot of guests, and yes, they have asked some guests to come back, but not like they did with you recently. So I kind of felt maybe there's something there. There might be some chemistry you don't know.
Yeah.
But let's respond to it. So I kind of felt maybe because we don't know what to talk about, why don't we maybe touch on things that have happened since we last sat down? That's 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's hardly just a little under 15 days ago. It's
crazy.
A lot has happened, bro.
It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
How have you been? Maybe before we get into anything, how have you been?
Spood, okay? I've been good, man. I think I did say in the last session when we sat down that I've got a vision just for this year. I think I've figured out what my passion and my poison is. Find your poison, let it kill you. I want to teach. I want to get on platforms. I want to sculpt and colonize and reshape and rewire minds. You're a great man who's doing that, who's been doing that, like, arguably for decades now. So the opportunity to sit with a great lion and be an adopted Mufasa and say, please lead me. I think it's very exciting for me. I used to tell a story, and I was thinking about this on my way here. I used to tell a story of the Facebook story and how so many people miss it, that it's 3 levels. And in any kind of victory and success, you need to find your 3 people. Mark Zuckerberg had a roommate called Eduardo Severin, who was the initial investor in Facebook.
Yeah, I remember. The
After
one who
Eduardo,
said, drop the.
No, not him.
Facebook. Not him, right?
Not him.
Okay.
The friend.
Oh, okay.
So you need the friend, the first person that believes in you. After Eduardo Severin, you grow to a certain level, and then you get the Sean Parker. The Sean Parker is the person who's in the industry, who's made some success in the industry, but he's not a big dog. And I used to use you as an example of the Sean Parker in life. You know, I'd be like, I've got a friend, he invests in my business, whatever it is. And then we catch the attention of Usbu, who's not maybe a multi-billionaire, dollar billionaire at that time, but he's in the industry, he's made success. He has the hack, he has the passion for young people. After you get the Sbu, you need to find someone at a higher level who's going to get you to the highest level. So I'd use an example like Ututuzane at the time Jacob Zuma was president. Now maybe we'd use an Andile Ramaphosa, because you're trying to catch the attention of the Patrice Motsepe, who's the dollar billionaire, who's going to ignite your thing. So that was Peter Thiel for Facebook, multi-billion-dollar guy who actually is the guy that took Facebook. But they would have never gotten to Peter Thiel without Eduardo Severin, Sean Parker. So I used to use this example, and I was thinking, because you're asking me how have I been. Last year I met up with Rob Ersoff, who's a legacy 3rd generation money in this country. A lot of people said I was captured and whatever, and I've responded, but perception is more powerful than reality. So there's Rob Ersoff. Are you
captured?
I'm not captured.
Maybe let's start there once.
I'll say this, which is a very loaded response. I'm not captured yet. I don't know if I'm capturable as well, but let me say I'm not captured yet.
Okay.
I met Rob.
And sorry to disturb you, and then
Sure.
I'll let you continue.
No stress.
After that, and then please bring me up to speed. Who is Rob Ersoff? Sure.
Rob Ersoff is 3rd generation money in this country. His grandfather
Oh, is it the gentleman that I saw you and Kantlalax together with?
100%.
The white brother.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I saw
Ntlantla-Lax Operation
picture.
Tutula.
I think I saw it on Twitter, that picture.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, third generation, his grandfather and another old man, Slip Manel, they came and they built Anglo mining, and they went into banking, and they went to all these great things. And then his dad, and then Rob, privileged, super privileged at the highest level, went to the Ridge here, Michael House, went to UCT, and then he went to work for Rupert Murdoch, media mogul, who's actually colonized minds. And then after working for Rupert Murdoch, he worked for Anton Rupert. Not Anton Rupert, sorry, Johan Rupert, Anton's son. He's lived a great life. He's now built an investment company to try and exploit the greatness that is meant to be Africa. So he made a video at an investment conference sometime last year, bashing the ANC, talking about how the ANC needs to get out. We need talented young guys to lead the country into the future.
Is that the video where you said some remarks about Mbalula?
Yes, where he said Mbalula and those guys are idiots, whatever the case may be. So
same gentleman.
Yeah, I did a response to that video. I did a summary and a response to that video. It trended somewhat and it got to his ears. And then he reached out to me, like Sean Parker reaching out to Mark Zuckerberg and Eduardo Saverin. So it wasn't a big deal. We had to sit down. He's extended a hand if I need anything, whatever. That's nice. I appreciate it. I haven't quite figured out how to use him. Me using him, me capturing him. After that, I made a video in December about how we need to move away from soft life. And soft life is killing us. And parents need to raise their kids on hard life. Did great. I think it might be on 600,000 views. And then way before that, I think I'd caught your attention. And then you reached out to me and we did the video, and since that video now, like, people take me even more seriously. So again, it's these people that come into your life that are taking you to levels. So since sitting with you, I've had people invite me to gigs to sit down, people asking me like, how's Mofire doing? Like, okay, why is Sbu hugging trees? So it's been
that
pretty
has
cool.
happened since
All in that space in 2 weeks.
Days,
it's
sure.
insane. It's insane. So it's been quite exciting. And because, like I said last time, I've been a huge fan of yourself. I mentioned Uzola 7 as well. The fact that people can associate me with you. I mean, I didn't know Rob from above, but with you is amazing for me. If anyone ever says, I'm like, I don't mind. If you say Sbu captured me, I'll take it. I'm chill. So it's been pretty cool.
Oh, it's
and
been quite an interesting
How have you been?
2 weeks. I've been great. Can't complain. Daughter's growing. Mom's good. Family's well. Business is growing.
Yeah.
And big up to the team. I've been doing some giving back work in the hoods.
Yeah.
Alex, Tembisa. I've been really great. Maybe one of the things that has happened that we can start off with as well is the recent passing of our brother, Mr. Makado Rikirik. May his soul rest in peace. My heart goes to his family, his children, his close friends, and his fans, his loved ones. I think he was an asset in the industry.
Yeah.
I had a chance of sitting down with him September 2021. That's last year, right?
Yeah.
I launched a Mofire soft drink range. We called it Mofire Con Drinks.
Sure.
And there's one they're called, the lychee flavor is called Mofire Boss Zonke.
Sure.
And
Sure. It was a
about
tribute
that
to him
Boss
and his
Zonke,
track.
We sat down in the office, we had a chat, we started talking about other things, business opportunities, and also just having known him in the industry, it hurts. This one cut deep.
Yeah.
Ricky's passing really hit different. I'm really, really, really sorry. I'd like to pass my deepest condolences to everybody. Ricky's passing really hit different. But then again, it raised a lot of conversations in the industry.
Yeah.
And I saw you touching on some of those conversations on your social media.
I didn't know Ricardo personally, so I'm speaking as an outsider, and that's very important. I met him once through a good friend, Sean Ngobo. We met at Loftus Versfeld. We took a picture, which I've posted. It's got bushy eyebrows like me. It's Nalobndia of sorts. Ricky was an asset, and it seemed like he didn't really have haters, which is always special and unique, especially in hip-hop. He seemed to work with everyone. He was one of those guys that was looking like he was trying to put a lot of kids on. I mentioned when I did a tribute video that he'd done tracks with Costa Teach. He obviously was on Imaleningi, Big Zulu, Dubai. You know, he was doing all the right things, and with this happening, it scared a lot of people, because a lot of people, even though apparently it's been documented, they didn't know he was grappling with depression. And a lot of people don't know what depression is. And I'm not a psychologist, therapist, whatever, but in my video, I try to break down my understanding of depression, especially because I feel like I've gone through depression 3 times, you know, managed to get myself out of it. In the video, I spoke about depression being a season of being very, very down, like a losing season, psychologically, of course. And I try to explain depression as well to people that don't understand it or think it's just attention seeking as a flu or pneumonia of the mind. It's easy to see if you've been burnt or scarred. I can see it. If you're limping because you were in an accident, it's easy to see it. But how can I see if you're not okay mentally? For some people, obviously, it manifests outwards in your behavior. If you're always laughing, now all of a sudden, like, I'm sure it's clearly something's not okay. For other people, especially as a celebrity, you always have to be on. So people won't know that you're masking an injury. So it's like you're limping, but because you're standing still, you're like, people can't see that there's something wrong with your knee. Someone might be like, why are you standing like, you know what I mean? So I try to explain to people that I think depression is a season of sadness, but at the same time, it's also a mental flu and a mental pneumonia. And flu can graduate to pneumonia, and pneumonia can graduate to your death. So I was just sharing my thoughts. I don't know what Ricky was going through. I don't know if his depression and his then suicide was a result of external factors. Fame gets a bit much. We've seen it with Kid Cudi. I think Ariana Grande booked herself into rehab as well. You don't know if it's that. If it's external, the lights, and it's flashing, and and you have to give everyone money, and your head is just spinning. Or if it was a chemical imbalance within himself that he's had to grapple with, regardless of the fame, because people loved him. Like I said, he didn't have haters. So we can't say, no, it's because people had been bashing him and he had all these rape accusations. There was nothing like that. People loved him genuinely. And he seemed to have a stable family structure. Had a woman that he loved very much, had a child. So everyone is kind of like, hey, Ricardo, if they're taking their lives, what's happening? You know what I mean? So it's sad. We saw Babu Patrick Shai took his life as well.
Babu Patrick Shai was also suicide.
Boom. Double HP
was suicide.
Boom.
Oh my goodness.
You know? Hip Hop Pantsula.
It's a serious issue, bro.
One of the other things I touched on.
And Ricky had a beautiful family, bro.
Went to Hilton, the most expensive school in the country.
Oh, you studied in Hilton? I think
it's between 350 and 400,000 rand a year. We'll call it privilege. I don't know if it was his parents or if he was on scholarship. I don't have that type of intel. WHP went to St. Albans, another very expensive school, top 10 most expensive schools in the country. Then AKA released a tribute post on his Instagram about Ricky, and I pointed out that AKA went to St. John's, another very expensive school. And I've made a video a couple of years back because I've had the privilege. I come from ex-Model C. My school fees was like 3,000 rand a year. You know, my mom was a teacher, you know, and she hustled to put us through a good Model C school with Ongamla. These guys went to the most elite schools in the country. And I made a video after I went to Rhodes, and because of my rugby background, I met a lot of these kids from these prestigious schools. Kabelo Mabalana with the TKZ guys, Uzwai, Nutukulu went to St. Stithians.
Yeah.
Kabelo had a drug problem at some point. I made a video about the struggles that rich kids face because people don't understand. You guys are rich, you've got everything, your parents are what, so why do you have problems? You know, they don't know that. One of the things I said in my video, because it was triggered by an article about the high suicide rate of kids in Silicon Valley, whose parents are dollar millionaires, dollar billionaires. Why? That there's clearly something we're not understanding about the way we're living. Social media, cyberbullying, imposter syndrome. Are you pretending to be someone else? And if you're pretending to be someone else, or if you're living in the shadow of your rich mom and your rich dad, and if you're with kids that are constantly taking drugs, and does the brain that you inherited from your ancestors who lived free, wild, do they fight each other? You're trying to live this fake Instagram life, constantly laughing, constantly happy. Hey, yo, what's up, eh? And your ancestors are like, no. And you fight. obviously now one of the conversations is, bonke labo sis laba ekuthiwa bayathwasa have a calling. Is it because they have a mental illness? Is it because their ancestors are fighting? You're living wrong. Buyela kini. So I think for now I'll stop there. But my video just covered some of those aspects of what is depression to me. Like I said, I'm not a psychologist, therapist. It's just me trying to explain to an ignorant person who's like, hey, and you're like, Mama, you know, I've actually got flu. How? Why are you not coughing? No, it's flu of the mind. Oh, okay. Just to try and give an analogy.
Suicide is everybody's problem.
Yes.
You know, and for me, rich or not, you know,
Sure.
everybody goes through problems. And everybody goes through their own life challenges.
Yeah.
Life happens.
Yeah.
We've seen all of us go through some of the most difficult times ever.
Yeah.
I would like to say maybe the past 2 years in most people's lives has been the most challenging ever.
Yeah.
Maybe some people it's been the greatest time ever. You know,
Abadayisa ama-sanitizer
maybe some
nama-mask.
people- yeah.
Sure.
About digital companies.
Sure,
You know, they
sure.
made trillions and billions or whatever it is. But suicide is everybody's problem.
Yeah.
But with that being said, you spoke about famous people. Let's talk about fame, right?
Yeah.
So I've been famous for quite some time, and I understand that.
Yeah.
Jesus, did I just say that?
No, it's true.
But it's a fact.
You have to embrace the fact.
I know that I'm popular, and
You're not boasting. It's a statistical fact that you're famous.
Sure. You spoke about whatever drug that. Let's talk about, let's say, dopamine.
Yeah,
So
dopamine.
fame is because it's what you're chasing. If it is what you're chasing when you're young, and then you attain it, and then after you attain it, and then people attain it in different levels.
Yeah.
And in the industry, they even come up with terms. They've come up with terms
Yeah.
that say B-list, A-list, or whatever they
Yeah.
would say. Now imagine if you're like Ricky, like high up there, like A-list, you are very, very
Super
famous.
A-list.
So I know how it is to be that famous, right? Because I've done a lot of things on different mediums. And I've been blessed to still be around for, all the time. It's been a blessing. It's not easy though.
I can imagine. Too many guys have fallen off.
It's not an easy thing.
Can I interject?
Nangit, it's not easy. I'm talking about handling fame.
Yeah.
Interject here.
I saw an interview with Ubongani Fasi with Lut Love, just talking about falling off and the fact that you've managed to stay relevant and on top for so long. Because he was speaking about, and you think of people like Ishmael, just off the top of my head, Tuksinganga, we don't know where he is, there are so many people that get in and get out for various reasons. So Ubongani Fasi was speaking about that. He's someone that's battled depression, losing his mom, Brenda Fasi, battled drug addiction.
And you can imagine him. He had a most famous mother.
Come on.
I think his mother was at some point the most famous person in the country.
On the continent.
On the continent.
Yeah.
For the longest of time.
Yeah.
And
Dopamine.
then automatically he was a famous child.
Yeah.
And then he got into it as well. You can only imagine.
Privileged child. This rich kids we speak about. You spoke about dopamine. I just wanted to touch on.
Yeah.
Dopamine is a chemical that's released by the brain from being stimulated. And
Yeah.
you're going to speak about fame and as
It
a drug.
has a lot to do with validation, social media. Now, before social media, this is us. My Sunday world.
Oh, shwashwi.
Oh my goodness, those days. But still, bro, just being famous, bro, is not an easy thing to maintain. Just to handle that thing is not easy. I see now, because of this, this brings a lot of people that fame in 2022.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't compare how it was then, how it is now,
Yeah.
but I do know there were a few TV channels then, and everybody would be tuned into us.
True.
And Mina friends like these was prime time, literally
SAPC
after soccer,
1.
on
Sunday.
after Saturday.
Oh, it was on Saturday.
after soccer.
there.
Everybody's watching.
Everyone's there.
I mean, I've been off screen for many years, but till today, when I walk out of the streets, it's like, yo, namanje, I have to deal with this thing.
Sure.
But I can handle it.
Sure. Sure.
I can just imagine how other people deal with it. And some other people don't open up and say it's fame. Maybe it might be other underlying issues. But just being able to handle fame. Now imagine those who are famous as kids. Then you're a child star. Then you become an adult in your 20s.
Yeah.
Then you have to go through this stage of girls going out, finding yourself, becoming an adult, becoming a professional, starting a family, becoming a family person, all in fame, all the way to your 40s.
Yeah.
I mean, it started in my 20s.
Yeah.
I'm 43 now. I've been famous, say, about 40 years now, right?
Boom.
I would say that I've handled it well. I would say that there's a lot of times when it's been very challenging. I've made a lot of mistakes as well. A lot of them have been public. A lot of them I've taken a step back to use my moments to be teachable for other younger guys out there who've been watching and learning from me for all these years, all the way till today.
Yeah.
A lot of things that happen to me, good or bad, positive or negative, I always try and find a way to use that to be. But I don't have to do that. See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
There's a certain mindset that you have to operate on when you're in this thing.
I want to say, I've been doing charity work for over 15 years. I was doing charity work with a bunch of guys called Touch Rugby Sundays a couple of years ago. And in Touch Rugby Sundays, we were dealing with, there were a couple of guys who were celebrities in the group. We went to go and hand out blankets in the CBD. And as we're handing them out, I think 3 of the celebs that were there, everyone was rushing to them. And me and a guy that was standing at the back, this guy was like, I never want to be a celebrity. And I asked why. He's like, you become an animal in a cage. Everywhere you go, people are trying to grab at you, touch you. You can imagine worse for women. People want to touch your bums and want to touch your... It's noisy. I was thinking you're talking about there's fame at different levels. You can be like the high school celeb, the town celeb. It gets a lot. And now we're obviously dealing with social media. Dopamine, if you watch the social dilemma? You spoke about this thing. This dopamine hit where you constantly want likes and reactions. And is my internet on? Why did no one comment on this thing? And why? And you constantly want to feed. You know, you constantly want to eat. You constantly want to be on. You constantly want to... And you're chasing an illusionary thing because capitalism has told you you must chase. You need to look prettier. You need to... I heard in the news yesterday that Amanda DuPont was in Turkey going to do cosmetic surgery on her breasts. What are we chasing?
You see, that's the thing with fame. People will talk about you just like this. You've just done something and somebody just says, I just heard Smooth went to go do his breast.
Yeah.
Are you even sure? Is it even a fact?
Yeah.
that she did her breast? Is it true?
Yeah. She confirmed.
True.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Sorry. I disturbed it. I was just saying, like, somebody will meet you and be like,
sure.
Some people don't know that how much that hurts.
Sure.
To other people, I don't mind. I've seen people
that.
feel they're entitled to.
They do feel entitled.
To literally,
'cause you're an animal in a cage.
Not bully. They're not even aware sometimes that they're actually some people offending you.
Yeah.
But I can just imagine other people who are sensitive. I have heard Ricky in some of it. I think one video I saw, he did say that he's a sensitive person.
Yeah.
You know, and he was a kind person.
And you could see it actually, if you pay attention.
And then you just imagine, because you know, we've had everything get thrown at us.
Sure.
And then sometimes I just feel for everybody else that is just coming into this fame thing.
Sure.
And people who are acquiring it through this.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how it is like to be famous now in this era as a teenager, being famous because of a cell phone and everybody has one in their hands. But I sort of get that. But what I'm trying to say is, let's be considerate, man. We're humans, you know? Some other things that we say to other people, but then somebody else can come and say, yeah, but you guys chose a career that is in the public eye.
Yeah, why don't you leave?
Brought it to
Go
yourself.
be
Why
a
don't
school
you
teacher.
You know?
So I'm very sensitive.
She's
Of course.
Everybody else. Yo, guys, this thing is not easy, fella, for abanye abantu, you know?
I understand that language is very powerful. The pen is mightier than the sword. I try to be very particular about the words I use. That's why I think in the Amanda mention, I would have been very particular in saying allegedly or apparently, because it's very important to not state something as a fact when it hasn't been verified. And that's why I also mentioned I saw on TV.
Okay.
I need to make sure that I'm not saying, hey guys, I spoke to Amanda and she said, no. The second thing I wanted to say is, I think I've been very lucky because of the way I move and the way I think that if I do become famous, I've been given time to prep, where I've watched guys like you, other people getting slashed, some going into depression, some being affected in whatever way. So I've had a chance to study and see what's the best way to deal with this. What's the best way to respond? Every time Cardi B being accused of whatever she was accused of, having to sue the vlogger, I think I've been very lucky. I watched a J. Cole interview with, I think, Angie Martinez. And he was speaking about trolling. Because trolling in itself, when you speak about be considerate, cyberbullying. We've heard stories of people that have committed suicide because a video came out, whether it was leaked nudes or a sex tape, or people were just saying you should die, whatever. J. Cole was talking about trolls, and he was like, there's these kids that were trolling him. Your music's so whack. What? And he says he took time to go and meet these kids. And when he got there, the kids were like, oh my gosh, it's J. Cole. What's up, dog? I'm such a huge fan. And he's like, I thought you guys were hating. And he's like, oh, they're seeking attention. And Drake, in one of his tracks, I think Emotionless, speaks about, number one, misery-loving company. Because a child wants your attention. Sbu, you're so whack. Your hairstyle is so what. Not necessarily because they're bullying you and it's hurting you. But because they're craving... Look at me. Please look at me. So when you respond, they're like, he responded. But we don't realize that we're bashing each other with language. Adolf Hitler apparently has never killed anyone. He's what we call a keyboard warrior. He spoke words that turned into action. Our words harm.
Like what Putin's doing now.
What Putin's doing now.
Maybe let's move there.
Sure. Ukraine
and Russia.
Volodymyr Zelensky is the president of Ukraine, because most people know Vladimir Putin because he's an A-list celeb, and Volodymyr Zelensky is a C-list. No one knows him.
And I've always seen him just in beautiful suits.
Yeah.
I've always just seen him with Sholozi quite a lot.
Yeah.
And I've always...
Two short, powerful men.
I've always followed our as South Africans, BRICS Association.
Yeah.
And just to see him invade Ukraine, I always say, follow the money.
Using the term invade.
I mean, come on. That's an invasion, bro.
So the reason we love Vladimir is because he looks like what they call Russians in Hollywood. Hollywood is the most powerful propaganda machine in the world. And when they speak about the Russians, he looks like that. Looks like he's soldier.
But then what is... For me, somebody once said to me, be careful when the mainstream media is speaking about something, they're trying to distract you from something else that is happening behind the scenes. What are they trying to distract us from? For me, it's always, as much as you're thinking about what's going on between Ukraine and Russia, you also behind the scenes. Nobody's talking about vaccine mandates right now.
Yeah.
What else are they hiding from us? Or let's then talk about this war.
So conspiracy theorists definitely always talk about be careful of big news and what you're being distracted from. And yes, COVID is now not the hot topic, and Ukraine and Russia are. I want to touch on America being a bully. I want to touch on the term you used, invade. I want to touch on our lack of understanding of just the world and how it operates. The biggest wars have always been fought over land. I want to talk about bringing it home. Ukraine used to be part of the Soviet Union, the USSR. Then they broke away. There was Russia, there was the Czech Republic, Slovakia, or Ukraine. They were all one landmass, like in Africa. And then when they broke up, obviously these independent states came about. Can look at it as SADC, Lesotho, Eswatini, Namibia, Botswana. Speak about unity today. So Ushaga went and he invaded people's lands, and he colonized, in effect, other smaller tribes in building a mighty Zulu nation.
Tribe.
From a Putin standpoint, he is trying to unify a stronger Russia because it will become more powerful with the Ukraine. And no one goes into land that is not valuable. Ukraine has something of value that Russia wants. And at the same time, because it's got something valuable, it's the reason why a USA wants to come in and defend it. So many political things to talk about, NATO, and for me it's gangs. There's gangs. There've always been gangs, whether it's taxi routes, whether it's the Zulus versus Amaxhosa, whether it's conquering is what's always been done. It's taking over a piece of land. We were colonized. We were conquered. Other people conquer an Afrikaans white man's farm and then build an informal settlement. It's taking over land. We want a piece of land, so to speak. So they decided it's never going to happen again. And now you've got a situation where Russia wants to take over the land of Ukraine. And the big gang lords are saying, no, we didn't agree on that. China is probably going to be doing the same probably next month with Taiwan. They've been wanting to do that.
They've
Been on standby.
Yeah.
Now America, because you and I are mates, I'm like, hey dog, they want to come into my taxi route. Help me out. And you're like, I'm not going to help you, dog. What do you have to offer me? People don't know that President Joe Biden of the USA's son was on the board of a very big energy company in Ukraine. There's a personal, economic, financial interest there. George Bush Jr. and Sr. were friends with the Bin Laden family. It's gangs. They come up with this propaganda, which Joe Biden is doing now, which the Bush administration was doing, talk about weapons of mass destruction,
etc. Yeah.
Because there are interests. There's gangs. No one has ever sent an army into America for peace and democracy. And at the same time, no one has ever held Bush and Obama to account.
Accountable, yeah.
For murdering masses of innocent people, children, women.
In Iraq and Afghanistan.
They've never been called to the International Criminal Court. And here they are, again, using these platforms they have to be like, you got me to watch a video of China's response. And China's saying, we don't do this thing of picking groups and cliques and, hey, you're my mate. We respect you. And we still don't understand the politics, even on the African continent. Why is South Africa not siding with Mugabe? Why are they not fighting? It's because that's his home, dog. He's running his home in a certain way, and we need to listen to him. You can't... The white guy who colonized you, because Americans came and they killed American Indians, American natives. They built themselves with slavery. They now have the audacity. The white guy is coming to tell you, don't you want to get rid of foreigners? They're stealing your jobs.
It's like the pot calling the kettle black, right?
Yeah. So we have to be very sensitive. But yes, Russia and Putin wants to take over Ukraine. And if you sit with him, if you watch Avengers Infinity War with Thanos, if you watch The Dark Knight, Batman with the Joker, and you look at the reviews, one of the conversations is the greatest villains are the ones where, from their perspective, they are heroes. So if you get in Putin's shoes and you look, you're like, no, we have to take Ukraine. That's how we'll be great, because they're siding with the wrong people. When you look at it from a USA perspective, it's like, no, look at what Russia's doing. They're bullying their neighbors. If we decided to get involved in what's happening in Swatini, where the people are calling for democracy, and Umswat is saying, no, I want to maintain this monarch even though my people are poor. From Swati's perspective, it's like, no, but let him take care of his kingdom, it's his people. From a US democratic, no, let's send the UN Peace Corps to go and fight for democracy at Swatini. You'll be like, oh, what are the people they're saying? And in Ukraine, people don't know. There's people from Ukraine and there's Russians living there. And they all have differing opinions. But we're being told by what America, Joe Biden saying, Vladimir Putin, it's gangs. Yeah, Umsholozi was fighting for us. No, Ramaphosa is a sellout. No, it's Funutiti Mabu. What does it have to do with you? How does it affect you? And how do you look at self and say, look, if Russia takes over Ukraine, how will it affect our fuel price? How will it affect BRICS? If America succeeds and maybe pushes them out or whatever, will America increase their stronghold? Are the fuel prices going to remain stable? Are they... Essentially what I wanted to say was, it's fights over land. And Russia believes that what they're doing is right and it's in the interest of Ukrainian people. They're not trying to kill Ukrainian people. From their perspective, they're trying to say, no, let's bring Mozambique in. Let's bring Lesotho and make them one. But if the leader is the one that's stopping us, we will fight him. Because they've been sit-downs with the leaders at various times. A certain leader came in and said, no, Ukraine wants to work with Russia and Putin. He was removed because America came and bullied him out. This new guy's like, no, we side with America. We want to sit with NATO. It's literally what's happening with us now. It looked like Zuma was pushing BRICS. Let's work with Russia. Let's get nuclear energy from Russia. Let's work with the East and China. Then Ramaphosa come in and it's like, hey, no, we don't really like those gangs. Let's go back to what we were, working with the West. and let's work with America, and let's, and you said it brilliantly off air, that when the elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers. And a lot of us, because of language, because of propaganda, because of the media, we listen to whatever a celebrity or whatever is telling us, and we buy into it.
And then there was when there was that Afghan war, Iraqi war. I think I was younger. It was years ago, and now that there is war happening, or whatever's happening between Russia and Ukraine, because of the social media age, you sort of are seeing some videos on the ground.
Yeah.
And who suffers, as you're saying? It's the ground that suffers.
Yeah.
For me, it's women and children. And it brings me back to that issue of ordinary people have to suffer because the big cats are fighting.
Yeah.
And as much as Putin wants to win over Ukraine, or
invade,
which is the word I was using earlier. What about Russia, even his own people are marching against the war. Nobody wants a war. We believe, I don't believe in war. And I think a lot of people don't believe in war.
Yeah.
And we've seen in the past, because a lot of people have created, people in the past have created wars intentionally.
Yeah.
And always, brilliant people will always say, follow the money.
Yeah.
But ordinary people, they don't even care. They don't even want to care to follow the money. A person cares about getting a job. There's people who are even literally are unemployed.
Yeah.
I mean, I bring it back to my country. I like what you are saying. How does it affect me?
Yeah.
Ngihlala eZolo, ngihlala eAlexandra,
Ngina, because I've got my own problems.
And my own problems like higher Konamanja Ati, we've got gender-based violence.
Yeah.
My own problems like higher are making me look at a boy and a girl child.
Yeah. And we don't have land. Our land was invaded.
We don't
and we
have
haven't gotten
land.
it back.
We don't even have it back yet.
Yeah.
Will we even get it back?
So one of my hopes in unplugging people's minds so that I can colonize them, because that's my wish, as crass as that sounds.
So you want to colonize people as well into Penuelism?
Of course.
So when at least to clear.
I'm very clear. I'm very clear. Once I'm captured, I'll start saying the things you want to hear. Like, no, this is. Right now, I'm still being,
You do know they'll keep these videos, and they'll play them later.
Luckily, I've studied the game.
Okay.
I was young, I was stupid. No, man, I know the hacks.
Yeah.
Part of what I want to do is unplug people's minds and then plug them on my frequency. Unplugging them means asking questions. You said follow the money, number one. One of the most powerful books you'll ever read is 1984 by George Orwell, which speaks about the propaganda used by the Soviet Union in conditioning you to believe that Shaka Zulu was a tall, dark, athletic man that looked like Henry Cele and not a short, light-skinned guy. The movie V for Vendetta, Hugo Weaving, produced by the Wachowskis, is also very powerful in getting your mind around, is what you're seeing real or is it just perception? When you talk about what we're seeing on the ground, my initial knee-jerk reaction is, where are you seeing it? On which media? Is it CNN? Is it Fox? Is it on Russian TV? Chinese TV? Jamie Foxx, speaking in an interview, was saying, be careful of social media because there are 7.8 billion people in the world. And just because Penuel said, no, I stand against Russia, and 50,000 people liked it, doesn't necessarily mean that's the reality of what's on the ground. A Russian person might be like, no, I stand with Russia, and get 200,000 likes and retweets. So we need to be very careful about who is giving us the information, it's important who. News 24, NASPers, who are they in the bigger scheme of things? They're part of the people that were funded by apartheid, that oppressed your people. Oh, those are the people giving us the information. Why are they giving us the information? Is it really because they want us to be better? Oh no, we must stand against Russia because if Russia wins, fuel will go crazy. Okay, and that's true, and we've looked at the data. Why are they giving us? Or is it because they have a stake, maybe in Ukraine, and they know that if Russia wins, whatever investments they have there, like I said with Joe Biden's son, Hunter, who's got business interests in Ukraine, they know that their interests might be affected. Why are they telling us this? And then fundamentally, to what I'm saying, how does it then come back to you? And if you do follow the money, these questions get answered. And I'm saying once people plug into my frequency, even when I tell them, eat grass, let me spray you with doom, they'll be like, one of the things you taught me, Penuel, is to question. And I'm questioning, who is telling me to be sprayed with doom? It's you. Who are you? Are you some guy who came and started a cult a few years ago? Why are you saying this? Oh, because you're now a distributor of doom. Oh, there's a guy on social media who was a politician who has been promoting Lucky Star. Does he have shares? We don't know. Why is he promoting this? And then how does it benefit me to be sprayed with doom? It's a harmful product. So nah, dog, I don't want that. So I think it's very important in the age of propaganda, because social media has both allowed us to fight against mainstream media, which is funded, and it's like, this is the news. South Africa stands against Russia. We're like, no, we don't. It's just a few guys at the top. The rest of us have an alternative opinion. We put on social media, and everyone else in South Africa who agrees with us all of a sudden's got 2 million views. Like, not all South Africans agree that there's white genocide, that farmers are being killed. The recent stats come out now in the last quarter. 7 farm murders have been, 9. I think 9 farm murders have been effected. Of the 9, 7 of them were actually farm workers that were killed by the farm owners. Because we now have that data. It's not going to be white News 24 saying, 9 farm murders, they're killing whites. And they won't even mention the 9. They'll just be like, more guys were killed. So we need to be very careful in the age of propaganda. Social media has allowed us to have a voice, but it's also become very messy and very noisy and very loud. And I'm hoping at some point today we'll get to speak about crypto and blockchain, because I want to speak about, when we speak about decentralized, general, as a general term, when we speak about the fact that, but everyone's got social media. If you believe that Putin is right, say it. I'll be like, but you and your mates only have 2 million cell phones. The American government on its own, the CIA, they can buy 200 million cell phones that are kept in a call center and fight against you and be like, but studies show that 200 million people disagree versus your 2 million, like, okay, maybe. No, those are not real people. That's a funded agenda. The reason China can fight is because they've got 1.3 billion people. They don't need anyone to validate them. They don't need a Hollywood. They don't need to infiltrate. They're like, as long as we've got these 1.3 billion people, we're good. We can just push our propaganda here. But you're at the mercy as a South African. Should I watch CNN? Should I watch Sky News? Should I watch BBC? Where can I hear about Russia? And they're like, watch Russia Today. And I'll ask you, who funds Russia Today? Is that a Russian network? No, but it's in Russia. And I'll tell you, but News 24 is in South Africa. Are you telling me it's a black voice? It's not. So it requires people to think deeper.
It definitely does require people to think deeper. And also, what has happened over the past 15 days is the noise that I've made around hugging trees, which turned into me, which I think it was great, by the way.
Brilliant.
That a conversation like that happened in the mainstream to get people talking about grounding and just nature. I think it was a very necessary conversation. Shout out to everybody else who was concerned about me.
That's love.
That really cared.
That's love.
Is he really okay? I'm fine.
I want to speak about the trees. I didn't finish my point around J. Cole and trolling. And J. Cole said there's kids that have figured out that trolling gets you the attention.
Somebody in the comments who said you and I speak all over the show.
Yeah. And you remember that comment.
Yeah.
And you probably don't remember all the comments of, this is great, this is great. Like, okay. But the guy who said, you guys are talking nonsense, sticks out. Trolling works because it releases, people, I don't even know if dopamine is the right thing, a higher level of reaction from you. So J. Cole said that's how they got his attention. He's never gone to see all his fans. He went to go and see these guys that were trolling him, and they actually liked him. In a warped way, it's a form of trolling for you to do what's crazy.
Remind me to tell you a story of how somebody else got my attention one day.
Sure. In a warped way, hugging trees is trolling. So why is Kanye West wearing torn jerseys? It releases a higher reaction than you cutting your hair short and like, I know, let's carry on. Life is back to normal. Why is he hugging trees? And in trolling our minds, because this is how you hack minds, why is he hugging trees? I wouldn't have engaged if you were just taking a picture next to a tree. But now you're hugging a tree. And in one of the pictures, you look like you're naked hugging a tree.
Yeah.
No, then that opens the conversation for how people used to touch nature. Why we spoke about depression. And part of the solutions in my video were get sunlight. Vitamin D, you don't need to take vitamin D supplements. Go and touch nature, touch a tree, smell. Trees have oxygen. I've made this joke, but I really believe in it, that one of the reasons townships are so messed up is because there are no trees. So if there are no trees, a whole day, so we are frying ngondo, and you're also not getting enough oxygen. How are you going to think when the sun is constantly smashing and you're being overindulged with sunshine, with vitamin D and sunlight? So get some love from the tree as a form of connecting with nature, as a form of meditation, as a form of just being with yourself. And we start going back to our people used to do that. Our people, when we spoke about planting herbs and what, and there was a hype around Izango, Mane, Nyang, and we started being like, but Vicks is actually eucalyptus. And med lemon is just lemon. Our ancestors went crazy picking lemons and saying, "We are kwahlela, eat this." You're like, "Don't eat that, dog. Go get med lemon." You're like, "No, dog. Med lemon is exactly that. Why are you hugging trees? Go see a therapist. Don't hug trees. No, go take this supplement." I'm like, you can actually get therapy and supplements from hugging the tree. And it worked because a lot of people laughing started doing it. And we can open the conversation of what else are we missing out on.
And I think it's a great conversation. I got a lot of my friends calling me up and saying, "Hey, dude, thank you for cracking this conversation, because now here I am having to explain to my kid that you're not crazy.
Spaces.
That it's actually good for them." And, we just started having this conversation with my kids, and we started talking about nature. We started talking about our African spirituality. The conversation just opened up
on
into
Spaces.
a whole lot of other things.
You made it a conversation about African spirituality and hair.
Oh, I remember we did the Spaces. Yeah.
Conversations.
But in the Spaces, what I did as well was, because it's a platform where I talk about crypto, I linked it to crypto. And then immediately, a couple of days later, I dropped a brand new NFT that I collaborated with a Cape Town artist by the name of King Debs. An NFT basically is a non-fungible token. That's an abbreviation for a data network that is minted on a ledger, on a blockchain ledger. A blockchain ledger is transparent. Every transaction that happens there is transparent. Every user knows what's going on, and it's uncheatable. Basically, you can mint anything onto an NFT. You can mint a song onto an NFT. You can mint a tweet onto an NFT and artwork, and it's basically the biggest booming industry right now all over the world, globally. And I kind of feel locally there was not a lot of people that were talking that language. I do know that I've been talking this crypto language since last year. I was already late even. I kind of feel I'm a late adopter in crypto. People have been talking about crypto for quite some time.
And yet you're very early at the same time.
I'm still early, but I think it's a beautiful thing to then start bringing the conversation to the fore, because I'm one of the late or early adopters. But then a lot of people also now in the crypto, people are not in crypto, and now saying, no, it's true, value cryptocurrency, which is a scam, right? So I also at some point thought crypto was a scam up until I eventually joined it. I'm hardly 8 months old in crypto. Just like at some point I once thought Forex is a scam. But it's the people that make it a scam. It actually isn't a scam. These are real companies that are trading. And the market is always busy 24/7 daily, globally. There's trading happening whether we like it or not. Where do you think that money that you save in the bank, what's being done with it? Because it's being traded with. Banks are trading with your money. Companies are going up and down, and that's basically the normal markets that are happening all over the world. So there is Forex, and there's a lot of people making money out of Forex, and there's a lot of people who understand Forex, but some of those people, they use that information to go then and take advantage of other people who are less knowledgeable about the space. It's the same thing that is happening in crypto. But anyways, I eventually got into it. Shout out to Great Jabesi. Go check out his YouTube channel, Crypto Hustle. He's the one that eventually won me over to get
Great Jabesi.
Great Jabesi.
Great Jabesi.
Yeah,
sure.
The gray, like the color gray.
Sure.
This color, Grey. Great Jabesi. This is silver, right? Yeah, but
it's
gray.
great. It's great.
Gray, right?
Sure.
Gray is an amazing young man. Very young. Is in his 20s. Travels the world. Talks cryptocurrencies. Mixes with other cryptopreneurs all over the world. Gets invited by all these different crypto exchanges in the crypto space. Very knowledgeable. He also knows how to trade cryptocurrencies. He understands the NFT space. He understands the gaming space. And then he's formed an educational platform. Just like a couple of years ago, I formed an educational platform called Leadership 2020. His educational platform is Crypto University, where he does videos, he records content, and he puts it on the platform. People get on the platform. There's groups, there's Discord groups, there's Telegram groups. People speak to each other on a daily basis on conversations around things that have to do with crypto. So since I've attained this knowledge over the past couple of months, I've since then started buying my coins. Then I started understanding that this space is not only about buying coins. This space has got a whole new world that is literally being built on top of. Guys, just like when the internet was still new, or we never understood it back then, I was still a kid. The internet brought in social media. Social media was built on top of the internet. The internet was built and then it evolved into the Silicon Valley companies, social media companies. But right now where the world is, the future, which we are calling Web 3.0, is currently being built on top of the Ethereum network. But Ethereum also has got its own coin, just like there is a Bitcoin. But people, when they think cryptocurrencies, they just only think coins, Bitcoin, and just buying coins. But there's just a whole lot of knowledge that we are not attaining because we are literally rejecting the knowledge or the information and saying, this is just a scam.
Yeah.
My message to the people while I've been doing crypto videos is just to encourage, and I've just started doing even events.
Yeah.
We just had 2 events yesterday, last night, sold out. Hallmark House, shout outs to you guys. And an event the night before, sold out. A lot of people came through. We did them for free. Got a lot of people coming in, introduced them to this space. Now people are interested to learn about this world. So it's a whole new world, guys, because it's not only about coins, but the new Web 3.0, there's developers and coders and all these geniuses that are currently building what you would call, you remember when the social media was being built on top of the internet?
Yeah.
That's what's going on. The future is Web 3.0 currently being built on top of the Ethereum network, where in future voting might happen electronically or digitally, where smart contracts allow companies to easily do deals and have contracts that cannot be hacked and that type of. So basically the blockchain technology is going to simplify a lot of things for the future.
Yeah.
And in all different industries, the geniuses are currently building the future on top of that network. Now imagine if you've had an opportunity to learn this thing that's happening right now before it becomes.
Yeah.
You have the opportunity to invest in it before it becomes. Just like saying you had an opportunity to invest in the internet before the Silicon Valley companies were built.
Sure.
Or you had an opportunity to invest in the Silicon Valley companies while they were being built at the time, before anybody had the foresight to see that these Silicon Valley companies will one day capture the whole world. Because now we captured. We all are here.
Of course.
And look at you guys, you are here. Somebody created YouTube, right?
Of course.
And basically for me, that's why I got into it. And it's just a consistent journey of learning. I'm learning every day. I'm learning new things every day. I'm meeting new people. And I've since found out that the crypto world has got a lot of people who are willing to share information.
Yeah.
I'm learning about the world of NFTs. I'm learning about the world of gaming. I'm learning that people can actually play games and get paid out of it. And I'm like, but how do we take all of this information to the people?
Yeah.
So when I was also dropping my NFTs, I was just trying out and testing the market. I didn't even think they'd sell that quick. They
Yeah.
sold out in 3 days.
Yeah.
We're having another drop. I was going to drop another one on the 1st of March, but because of Ricky's passing, to respect Ricky and the atmosphere in the industry, I won't be making noise around NFTs while we're talking about Ricky's passing and memorial service and funeral, you know? So I'll postpone it to the 2nd week of March and I'll announce the date very soon. But I am moving in that space. I'm finding other like-minded people in that space. We are building a community that allows people to come and plug into an ecosystem and learn. And that's basically me and what I can say so far about NFTs and crypto, you know?
This is my time to shine because I did a bit of research.
You did a bit of research even in this morning, right?
Yeah, even this morning. At some point, we just don't have enough time, unfortunately. At some point, in speaking about the passing of Ricky, we have to speak about the struggles of black men in particular, and what's happening to black men the world over. We just don't have enough time, unfortunately. I'm saying this again because with NFTs and crypto, we could speak for 2 hours just on those two. And I hope in my response now, I'm going to keep it as short as possible. I don't know if now while we're chatting, you want to tell your story of a troll that caught your attention, or if you'll say it
okay,
another
let me get
time.
it out of the way.
Is it short?
Yeah, it's very short.
Sure.
So basically, when we were starting Morfire, somebody went and registered morfire.co.za.
Boom.
So screaming Morfire. A couple of months later, website, blah, 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 blah. This one has been taken. It's not nice to do Morfire dash this.
Sure.
And, you know, it's like we want the actual one.
Yes.
Who owns this one? Find out, guy in the south, I've been waiting for your call. I knew you'd call me one day. I registered this domain intentionally.
Early adopter.
Not to use it, but to keep it, knowing that one day you will make this phone call. I'm not asking for much. if only I can have lunch with you, Sbu, just for an hour with my girlfriend.
Sure.
You can have the domain. I don't want any money. You can have it back peacefully. That's
a brilliant
beautiful
story.
meeting. I even invited him to a gig that I was doing. I was in Rosebank.
Sure.
He came with his girlfriend. We had a great time, and shout outs to him. And he gave us back the domain. That's how he got my attention.
Brilliant.
He wasn't a troll.
Well, it's an intelligent form of trolling.
Yeah, he could have kept it longer.
Yeah.
And then waited for the company to grow, and at some
then
point
wanna sell
maybe
it.
just sell it to us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anyway, that's out of the way. But what an interesting story.
I love that story because it ties into what we're going to speak about now, or what we're speaking about now. A lot of my research has been centered around the various layers of existence. And I'm very fascinated by the objective reality we live in, which is the land and the water, the oceans and the seas. On top of that, we find basic commodities, rocks, sand, mountains, rivers, I guess, animals, and you find us humans. And then we humans on top of all of that, because that's the real world. When we speak matrix, that's the real world fundamentally. Then human beings came and created the matrix, which is the fictional world, which is almost everything else. Almost anything else you can think of outside of what I've just mentioned. Like a human is a chimpanzee. Where, once you say, but we speak language, that's now no longer real. That's now fictional reality. Language for me is the first level and layer, because with language we can teach each other stuff. I can tell you, say, Baba, koni pubesi, run. Like, oh, okay, sure. Yazi koni amanze ngwatoli lemfuleni, what? Oh, okay. And with that now comes alphabet and documenting. And now you can now go read a book that was written by a guy 500 years ago on how to build a beverage company on language. He would have never been able to do that if you were just a chimpanzee and there's no language and there's no documentation. Language is powerful, and through language we've been able to connect, we've been able to create things. People have been able to build armies and send them out in honor of the Queen. Let's go colonize Africa. And in doing that, you then teach the people this language for your intentions and purposes. Part of teaching language is teaching mathematics and science and history. Whether it is real or not is not important. Whether the maths actually checks out is not important. You've believed that it balances and it works. Science, same. History, of course, we can argue some of it is real, some it's not. On top of this language, we now live in an era, because I want to skip, we live in an era of the internet and computer language. It's what we call coding. Coding, for people that don't know, is literally communicating with a computer in a language that the computer understands. Computer doesn't understand English or Mandarin or whatever. They speak a certain language, which to speak to them, you code. And there's various ways of coding. Java, C#, etc. Now we've got Python, and now there's drag and drop, where they're moving this fancy language 2 words back to English. So if you like, I want my computer to switch off in 5 minutes. The guys at the back have built a language which can, because the computer is just a black African that's naked. And they've said, listen, we're going to teach you with your if the person drags and drops this, they mean switch off in 5 minutes. And the computer's like, okay. Python and those guys are trying to do that. In some of these things, the other thing I wanted to mention with maths is, on top of maths, is what we call financial maths. And that's where accounting comes in. That's where ledgers come in. A ledger is a document that captures transactions. And a ledger can be used for anything. Van der Merwe came and colonized this land, and then he created something called a title deed. Title deed is actually what an NFT is, the non-fungible token. It is a digital title deed, share certificate, a computation of something that can be owned on the internet. We've got ledgers that capture that. So Van der Merwe comes and he owns the land, and then he sells it to Potgieter, and then they have a ledger saying it was sold to Potgieter in the 1800s, and then after that Potgieter sold it to Jonathan, and then Jonathan sold it to, all of a sudden, Ramaphosa. There's a ledger. On the internet, we've got digital ledgers, which is what we've quantified now as blockchain technology, where on ledgers, people on the network speak to each other and say, hey, did you see Usbu just sold this NFT to Penuel? Penuel bought it. Oh, Penuel owns it now. He owns the NFT, which is the certificate. Whether it's an artwork, like in real life, like I have the rights to this artwork, or a title deed for land. The reason I like the morefire.co.za story is because we speak about virtual real estate. www.facebook.com, www.google.com are some of the most precious pieces of real estate on the planet, but they're virtual. It's like speak about Sandton being the richest square mile in this metaverse every day. And Donaz, I'm not sure any NFC. Yeah, Google it. So now you're visiting their place, and because you visited, they tell the whole world, guys, we've got this many visitors every day on this virtual space. Come advertise with us, because people are here. Just let them know what's potting. We have virtual billboards. So with NFTs, with the internet, with language, without again going too far, the guys have realized that we had maths. Okay, we had English. With English, we created maths. With maths, we created financial maths. With financial maths, we then also civilized and progressed money, where we used to barter. You give me more fire, I give you a packet of sweets. Now we're like, no, give me a seashell, because I don't really want a packet of sweets, and I'll use the seashell for something else. And then we move to other things. Paper, IOU. The IOUs is what also led to the ledgers, which are, but it's been captured that this guy came and he brought me more fire and. We've done it on the internet and we let everyone know. People realized when we got to what we call fiat currency, the money system we have now, that it's not good enough and governments are manipulating it. Because now supply and demand, we don't know if South Africa's got all the gold they're saying. The government just decides on if they should value the rand. And so we'd like to take some of that power back. And they're like, well, we've got the internet. And look at what we've done with the internet. We've been able to create virtual real estate like morefire.co.za. So what if we create a digital version of money which fights against this? The principles are the same, because what's important to understand with, is it Satoshi Nakamoto, who is credited for Bitcoin.
Yeah. We don't know if it's one person,
we don't know if it's real, no one's ever seen him, whatever. Yeah. What's important to understanding Bitcoin, Ethereum, any other virtual coin is merely an alternative medium of exchange. In the same way a cigarette in prison is an alternative medium of exchange. So you can say, pay me in sex, pay me by having lunch with me, DJ Spoo with my girlfriend, pay me using cash money, pay me by sending an EFT, send me an e-wallet, or pay me using, there's a new thing. It's called Bitcoin. The guys are like, hey, we think if we do this and we create our own community of people that buy into it, we think we can create an alternative place for people to trade. Part of the problems now, and this is where the importance of early adoption come in, is the people who get to South Africa first and preempt that I think in future they're going to build them all here. In future, what's happened in South Africa, Lanseria, when initial talks around the Gautrain started, there was talks of it's going to go to Pretoria. We might have one going to Lanseria. There were Jewish people that went and bought up all that land there, preempting at some point government is going to want this land and we're going to bump up the price. How do you know what's going to happen in the future? You look at past behavior, like there's a chance that. So if you come in first, Sandile Shezi with Forex Trading, who built his Global Forex Institute, which is probably the equivalent of the crypto university you spoke about. And he's like, people are going to want to jump on this thing and I want to be the person to teach them. So if you're the early adopter in crypto and blockchain, you get to have the first ledgers. You get to be the first guy who's involved in transactions and you become the go-to guy. When the British guys come and say, hey, you're the landlord, apparently you own a mine in South Africa, we heard you colonized the black people, what's bumping? You're like, oh, come work for my mine, come work on my land, I'll give you a share, I'll give you a piece of land for this much and you get to make money.
Interesting one. Somebody just bought the Cullinan mine on the metaverse. On the Google Maps,
yeah,
virtually, where the Cullinan mine is, literally in South Africa,
yeah,
physically,
yeah,
on the Google Maps now, virtually,
yes,
on the metaverse, they've just bought that Google mine.
They haven't bought the mine. They've bought the mine for all our intentions and purposes. The mine location,
the land
on the internet,
yeah, on the metaverse.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the metaverse,
yeah,
because I think a lot of people are starting to preempt that a lot of places in some metaverses, because there are a couple of platforms,
yeah,
right? That Sandton City as is virtually,
yeah,
at some point it's going to become Sandton City also virtually. So there's some people already investing in that land now.
Like the moon.
Yeah.
What, you Tom Cruise bought shares in the moon?
It's an interesting world, bro.
So the reason I wanted to start at the base is because I want
Yeah.
people to know that everything else is noise. I think that's very important.
Very important. Yeah.
What's also important is as much as it's noise, there's different segments of noise. So you may not like crypto because you may be not making money from it. You weren't an early adopter. You don't know what's potting. You haven't made money from it, whatever. In the same way, you may not like Mandarin. It's a language and it's a space. You might not be on Facebook. In China, they use Baidu.com. They don't have like your Googles and those. They use WeChat and not WhatsApp. Not because they're crazy and so like, guys, let's buy into WeChat. You might be an early adopter, and when WeChat becomes something big, you might be the guy that profits. Or someone else comes with WhatsApp or Mixit or whatever it is. What's important and why I appreciate what you're doing, it's similar to what I was saying about hacking minds, is because people need to understand that the world is constantly moving. And just because you weren't a colonizer with the British, just because you weren't part of the apartheid government, just because you weren't part of the first wave of BEE fat cats, we're saying, guys, there's a new shift of wealth here called blockchain and mining crypto. And if you jump in early, we're not saying you're going to make a lot of money, because there's a big chance that the same guys are going to make a lot of money. But you might be one of the guys who invested first in Facebook. You might be one of the guys that invest first in Naspers. We're saying just position yourself. That's it. Worst case scenario, you'll be an English teacher in China, Korea, because you were colonized, you learned English. You're going to go make money just teaching English. I, as DJ Spoo, might just make money just teaching about crypto, and that's good enough. Or I might inspire the kid who's like, why are all cryptocurrencies foreign? When are we building our metaverse in South Africa and building our blockchain and building our network so that, like the Rand, anyone who wants to transact in South Africa has to transact in the Rand coin, which is virtual. I wanted to touch on when you spoke about Santon, the fact that the JSE in itself is a metaverse, because you don't own a company. You don't go to Coca-Cola and say, this block is mine. You own a share, which is an NFT, which gives you the right virtually in some way. And because you own that share, it can be valued and you can sell it. And it's like, I own shares in Coca-Cola. Oh, okay, so you can walk in. No, not necessarily. I own the title deed, the share certificate. I can trade it to you. But that Coca-Cola factory or the plant or the company, I own a piece of that.
A fraction of it, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's important that, again, we understand this. But for a lot of people at the bottom, and part of my frustrations with crypto, with Forex, was because a lot of dumb guys used it to scam people.
Yeah.
A lot of dumb guys didn't understand the underlying parts of what is language, what is important. They focus so much on the noise. And this is part of the problem with what we call clever backs, corporates. They taught high levels. Accounting, I work at Steinhoff. I'm a financial manager. But you have no idea where the company came from and the atrocities and the people who own the real tangible assets, how they move. Because at any given time, they can shift the goalposts. So when I spoke about decentralized, and I'm happy we speak about NFT and cryptos now, I spoke about the idea that if you and 2 million mates have an alternative agenda to COVID, the government, whatever, government can go and buy and hire 200 million people to counter you. So we speak about decentralized in crypto. It's decentralized, it's verified by computers in the network. That's noise, that's computers. But how do you know that the people that own fiat currency, the Reserve Bank, the big banks, the CIA, China, Hong Kong, how do you know that they don't have gang call centers that are sitting with computers either verifying your transactions or saying, no, this is not legit? How do you know at some point they won't say, look, DJ was an early adopter, he made money with an NFT, but later on we're like, we don't really like what he did, so let's wipe out his wealth. And we're going to go in and we're going to set up this whole farm. Bill Gates is now one of the largest landowners in America. I'm going to put computers on there. I'm going to put people sit, and I'm going to be like, devalue the NFT. It happens in the stock market where people artificially send out news.
Yeah.
Did you hear that DJ Spoo's NFT is actually fake? He stole it, so that means the value is not worth. Did you hear that Imofa is actually dangerous? Someone died. Do you know I'm a Pakistani? Apparently they kill it. Like, no, I'm not gonna. They have the power to do that because they have the money and the water.
That all of that is not true.
And they cancel.
I don't want it in the world. Cancel.
So that's why I keep saying we need to know the fundamentals. The fundamentals is with chimpanzees. We don't need this clothing. We can be naked. We can hug the trees. What's important is we need to exist. We need to eat. We need companionship and community. We need to be safe. Protect yourself from external dangers, whether it's wild animals or wild humans. And then understand that everything else is noise. Understand that the noise affects the real. And make sure that you position yourself well. So, ja meneer, dankie baas. I know will protect me tomorrow when an Afrikaans guy is like, hey, yalla, kom hierso. I'm like, jammer boss. Expire jammer. Like, hey, jy praat goeie Afrikaans. Move. The next guy, like, forsek. Killed. All because he didn't know a language and how to position himself. So if we're saying there's a chance that the metaverse, the crypto world, blockchain becomes the shackles we have today called money and debt and title deeds and the stock exchange, if there's a chance that they are going to be that, protect your family in the noise and be like, no, we stand with America because we think they have a bigger army than Russia. So when they bomb them, we think we'll be safe. Speak English quick, because when they need BEE people to sit on boards, they're going to call you. Laugh with this guy. Learn about crypto, not necessarily because it's going to make you rich, but if ever crypto and the guys at the top, whether it's a dictator or a coup or whatever, decide we're switching off fiat currency. Mswati switched off the internet in Eswatini. He could have switched it on and said, we're no longer using Google products, no Facebook, we're bringing the Chinese. We're now going to use Chinese products here. Can't use YouTube. If ever someone decides this alternative thing is better than bartering, it's better than shells, it's better than gold. Nixon and the gold standard, they were like, let it go. Now we're using fiat. If crypto is going to be the future, potentially, we don't know currently. Position yourself so that you can win with your family, because you'll have a billion Zim dollars. And Mugabe will chase whites off the land and the global economy will react. And you as a billionaire will become worthless tomorrow because you didn't position yourself. When the next guy took his billion Zim dollars, invested offshore, even if it's minority stakes in the UK, in America, so that when the Zim dollar tanks, it's like, well, at least I've got some pounds and some euros and some American dollars, so I'm good. I've got cash money, I've got digital money, I've bought some Bitcoin, I've bought some Ethereum, I've jumped in with what Sbu's done, and even with this educational institution, I've invested, so we make money even of just teaching people. We're not hurting anyone, we're teaching them. At the same time, I've invested in real land, because Penuel speaks about real life. I've got some real land, and we're planting real things. We're hugging real trees, not virtual trees. We're hugging real trees, and I picked a real fruit. Saudi Arabia, the Middle East, are the biggest oil producers in the world. That's why they're so rich. That's why Dubai could look so amazing in a few years, because they're oil rich. Preempting early adopter, they are also the biggest investors in alternative energy. So that if one day the world says switch off oil and coal, they'll be like, top Tozile, top Shaila, we're good to go. So it's very important to position yourself and what. And if crypto and NFTs, if the Mona Lisa gets destroyed by fire, you're like, well, it's been uploaded virtually and the owner of the virtual Mona Lisa owns this. My fear and my concern more than anything was because so many of us are so far behind the curve. We don't have land. We're not planting food. We don't even wear our own clothing. I'm scared that in the same way we were colonized and our land was taken and advanced weapons were used against us, in the same way that we were forced to use money and forced to use debt and forced to wake up exane and ride taxis and trains to work for the man, is the same way the early adopters, you might be the Aliko Dangote, whatever black guy who's going to be the billionaire of crypto, you might be the early adopter and win. The Jay-Z, the Damon Dash. For everyone else, they're going to catch the tail end and they will be colonized once again, because you'll try and jump on the internet and they'll say, no, but to go on facebook.com or morefire.co.za, Usbu actually owns the license to this land. You have to pay. You can't just enter the site for free. You have to pay rent. You want to open a Facebook profile? No, Facebook charges 500 Rand a month to have a page here, to have your own little flat. You want to make an artwork? Oh, it looks like DJ Sbu's artwork. No, the rights. You don't have rights to this. Oh, you've made a song. It sounds like Maru Apula. Hey, nah. You have to speak to DJ Sbu if you want a sample. But it's not a sample. It's my own. I made it with real instruments. No, he owns virtually on the internet this sound. And they're going to colonize the internet so that all the late guys are going to have to rent space or borrow images or whatever. And again, you'll be on the tail end. So I support this idea you're saying, that let's educate ourselves. And if for nothing else, if it's not about money or investing, or just constantly be aware of what the guys who rule the world are moving towards. But for me, don't ever let go of the real. Don't stop hugging the trees.
Thank you, brother. That's why I've always been preaching the cryptocurrency knowledge. and also preaching real estate. I'm new in real estate, so I'm doing both.
Real estate.
Yeah, real estate.
Not virtual real estate.
Well, both.
Sure.
But I've been preaching real estate because I've literally just recently got into it. Real estate development.
Yeah.
So it is very important to own real land. That's what I encourage. That's why we are fighting. It's a big fight to get land back. But yeah, I'm in that property space. I think it was a beautiful one, eh? Big up, that was nice.
Done.
Do you think was it 2 hours? You gotta be kidding me.
I told you it's flames.
Shesses, bro.
I told you it's flames.
This can become a podcast, bro.
It's flames.
Don't switch it off yet. I'm still speaking to them. No. Yeah, I just want to ask them, like, what do you guys think? Whatever, criticize us, tell us nonsense, tell us kudos. Should we do a third episode? It's going to be a third one.
It's going to be a third one, but it's going to be another one.
You think so? Okay, let's do this. What do you think? Do you think we should say, if this becomes as big as the previous interview, we'll do another one? Or what do we say? Or
I think it's a challenge to us and to other people that if we can do the same views as the last one did, if what we spoke about resonated to you, I think fundamentally important is, I saw Sbu speak about real estate. Can you please tell us more? I heard Godpen saying whatever. I want to hear more. Like, it's a challenge to us and it's a challenge to people that if we are hacking your minds and you feel we're doing it for the right reasons so you can win, be like, we want to chat. One of the things I want to do is you've let me into your circle.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping to be of value so that you keep inviting me back and I become a permanent residence. And in doing that, in the conversations we have, we document these, whether it's once a month, once a year, just to touch base. I met DJ Sbu back then and he tweeted me and today, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's going to be really beautiful content creation and our form of colonizing not just people's minds, but also the internet in future.
I agree. I mean, I'm all about spreading positivity.
Yeah.
And for me, I look at this as a way of uplome konin.
It is uplome konin.
2022.
A virtual konin.
Sure. So there's no right, there's no wrong. We could be the most wrongest people. So correct us out there. Put in your
Put
own
the comments, ask for another video if you're like, nah. Just hit us up because we listen.
Yeah.
We're listening. As much as we're so-called prophets out there, we listen to the followers. Guys, lead us some more. We want more. We want to invest in the real estate. Hey, actually, I think after you spoke, now, I think we're getting crypto.
Yeah, man.
So, thanks a lot, Sbu.
I really do think what we're doing might become something. I really think so.
It has to be because you and I are switched on. We want to build it in virtual mkuku.
Virtual mkuku. I like that. So do you want this virtual mkuku again? Let us know. Guys, thank you very much. That was nice. I didn't even think it was 2 hours. There's so many other things that we didn't touch on. Yeah. Guys, this was only the things that have happened since we last spoke, which is literally 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
A lot has happened. And then lastly, maybe to shut down this episode, once again, condolences to the family of Mr. Makado. Rick, my brother, you are a real one. You are a real one. May your soul rest in peace. Your work will forever speak for itself. May you continue to be a shining light. May that work, that legacy, continue to be a shining light unto other people who get into this industry to look after themselves, to seek help if they do need help, if they do want to talk. We don't want our brothers and sisters going away like Patrick Shai did, may soul rest in peace. Like Ujabulani Tsambo did, may HP soul rest in peace. Like our brother Ricardo's soul, may soul rest in peace, just like him as well. So big up to everybody that watched this episode. It was quite an emotional one, but it was also quite an insightful one. What an interesting mind that this man is. So what do you guys think of this virtual mkuku? Let us know.
Boss zonke.
I'll see you soon.
This is the Hustler's Corner.